Hey guys, Kyle McCalla here, and we are going to talk about mistakes and admitting them quickly. Here we go. So, mistakes are a part of life, and as much as I would like to say that mistakes don't happen in the construction industry, they happen on the regular. We can have the best of intentions, and things are still going to happen where things don't go as planned. We make a mistake, and we have to work through that. The best way and the only way to work through those mistakes is to admit them and admit them quickly. One of the books I've referenced in the past is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And if you haven't checked that out, be sure to check that book out. One of the things he talks about in that book, which is a time-tested, proven method for handling people and dealing with people, but he talks about admitting mistakes and admitting them quickly. When you admit a mistake and you do it as soon as you realize it, typically people are going to be a lot more gracious and forgiving and a lot less hard on you than you're going to be on yourself, versus if you don't say anything and or try to cover it up. Certainly don't lie. Don't try to downplay the situation. You make a mistake, you own it, you say, hey, this happened, I apologize, wasn't our intent, but now we have to work through this, and these are our suggestions for how we get through that. And the customer is probably going to be a little bit caught off guard, probably going to be upset a little bit, and that's okay. I think the biggest point is understanding, as somebody in a leadership position where you're dealing with employees, customers, subs, whatever that is, the point is to make sure that you own it and you're willing to admit it humbly, kindly, calmly, and then provide some solutions for how to fix it. Sometimes it's not all that big of a deal. Sometimes, an easy thing is we're doing a addition where they're adding a new kitchen onto their house, and we got the final drawings done. We sent it to them, and they actually caught that on the drawing. We had the countertop flush with the base cabinet, whereas it's supposed to hang over an inch to an inch and a quarter around the perimeter of the island. He mentioned it, and I said, yep, that was an oversight on our end. Good catch. We'll fix it and certainly make sure that gets that way. That one was an easy one. Customer's not upset, pointed it out, and the key is I admitted it. It was an oversight on our end, and we said that we'll get it fixed, and we did. So, in that same breath, in that situation specifically, you would not want to say, oh, yeah, it's actually on there, but it just doesn't show it, yada, 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 or for whatever reason, try to point the finger and blame somebody else. I actually didn't do the drawing, and that's okay, but it was brought to my attention, and I'm going to take ownership of it. Another great book, speaking of ownership, is Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership. Check that one out, and it will give you a great foundation and a baseline for essentially owning everything. His philosophy is everything begins and ends with leadership. If you're in a leadership position, it's on you. And if something happens, if there's a mistake, you own it, and you have to try to think through every possible situation on how to prevent that from happening again. You have to be proactive instead of reactive. So admit mistakes quickly. In a situation where the customer is upset, I think it's kind of twofold. One, admitting it quickly, gets the customer a little bit disarmed and not quite so flustered when you say, hey, we did not mean to do this. This happened. We have to fix it. Maybe it's going to cost a little bit of money. Maybe it results in a change order. Some of those things aren't easy to talk about, but ultimately we want to make sure we're doing what's best for the customer, and being able to confidently, calmly, kindly work through those challenges and those mistakes are part of what's going to make the difference between being successful and not being successful. And so you handle the situation exactly the same, but you make sure that they feel heard. And back to, very humbly, because if they're upset, they're going to point the finger, and that's okay, because we did make a mistake. You say, hey, I get it. This is on us. And maybe you can help, whatever that solution is. Maybe it doesn't have to be a change order or something that they have to do, but you have to be willing to provide some solutions in order to do it. Don't go with them without any solutions. That, I would say, is a big no-no as well. Don't tell them you make a mistake and then have no solution in how to solve the problem or the mistake. You want to make sure you have some clear options as to how to work through it. But, the biggest thing is, like I said, being twofold, is customers and realistically, people are going to get upset at times. It's not necessarily directed at you, but it's your ability to work through those that's going to set you apart. So admitting your mistakes quickly, admitting them kindly, calmly, humbly, I think that's the third time I've mentioned that now, that's really critical, is going to make all the difference. Don't push back. Your natural reaction, if somebody's pushing against you and you get puffed up and you start to push back, it will only make the situation worse. So manage your expectations, go into it with an understanding that, hey, they're going to be upset. This is on me to own. I made the mistake, or my team made the mistake, but I'm still going to own it. We have to work through this. We will get through this. Ultimately, you make it an enjoyable situation for them, because the reality is there's a lot of companies out there, there's a lot of people out there that, not intentionally, but when they make a mistake, customer pushes back, they push back, it just gets everybody more irritated, and they get more mad than what they would be if you just owned it and tried to make right by them and the situation. So it sounds easy, and it's somewhat simple in application, but it's very difficult to do. And I would say it's something that has to be practiced. It has to be honed over time, but you have to be aware of it. The more you go into these situations, the more you can learn from them. I'm probably a little bit of an annoying optimist, where I always try to look at the positive in situations. And I always look at these situations, these mistakes, these unhappy customer moments, as an opportunity to strengthen the relationship. Because what I know to be true is our ability to handle this, like I've mentioned earlier in this video. That's what's ultimately going to set us apart. There's a lot of people that can build nice homes. There's a lot of people that can build custom cabinets. There's a lot of people that can think through a lot of the things that we're doing. But the experience that we provide and how we make our customers feel, on top of an excellent, high-quality product, that's what makes the difference. So when you have mistakes, admit them quickly, and do it humbly, kindly, and calmly. Until next time, see you soon.